Welcome to True Crime Storytime. The channel explores real-life cases, revealing the mysteries behind the crimes through each fascinating and dramatic story. On June 24th, 2016, a horrific case occurred in a peaceful neighborhood in Feud, Texas, that shocked the entire community. Christy Sheets, a 42-year-old mother, used a gun to kill her two biological daughters, Taylor Sheets, 22 years old, and Madison Sheets, 17 years old, right in front of her husband, Jason Sheets. This is not only a family tragedy, but also a twisted and painful story. A mother, known for her loving image, cruelly took the lives of the children she once raised. What was going on in this woman's mind that led to such a horrific act? This case is unlike any other in the world of real-life crime. It is a rare event where the perpetrator of the crime is the victim's closest relative. Even years later, this event remains a topic of controversy, causing public outrage and leaving unanswered questions. Christy Sheets' cruel actions not only ended the lives of two promising young girls, but also left her family, friends, and the community with inconsolable pain. What turned this mother from a loving family woman on social media into a brutal perpetrator? This story is not just a case, but also a warning about the dark corners of human psychology and the destructive power of repressed emotions. We will delve into each detail, each relationship, and each action that led to the tragedy that day to find the answer. The case took place in the town of Feud, Texas, where the Sheets family lived in a spacious brick house on Remsen Hollow Lane. This is a quiet area, ideal for families looking for a peaceful and comfortable life. The Sheets family moved here in 2002 after leaving Decatur, Alabama, to start a new life. The family consists of 4 members. 1. Christy Sheets. The mother, Christy Sheets, 42, was once seen as a devoted mother on social media. She regularly posted photos and stories about her 2 daughters, expressing great pride and love for them. However, behind that image was a very complicated person. Christy had a history of mental instability, often falling into depression and alcoholism. She had been treated in hospital for suicidal thoughts and had experienced many family conflicts. Jason, 44, is the breadwinner of the family, working as an IT specialist in the oil and gas industry in Houston. He is a devoted husband and father of 2 daughters. Jason is described by neighbors as friendly, easygoing, and always willing to help. However, his relationship with Christy has become increasingly strained due to her mental health issues and family disagreements. Taylor, 22, is Christy and Jason's oldest daughter. She recently graduated with honors from Lone Star College and works at a daycare center in Katy, Texas. Taylor is remembered as energetic, funny, and passionate about the arts. Taylor is also preparing to marry her longtime fiancé, Juan, and plans to wed on June 27, 2016. Madison, 17, is the youngest daughter of the family, a high school student about to enter her senior year at Seven Lakes. Madison was described by friends and family as a sweet, cheerful girl with a great love for cooking and children. She often worked as a part-time babysitter and always made people around her feel happy with her humor and warmth. Although the Sheets family was once considered an ideal family, the instability in the marriage between Jason and Christy created deep cracks. Neighbors recall that while Jason and the children always greeted each other and were friendly, Christy seemed cold, distant, and rarely participated in community activities. Years of simmering family tensions, combined with Christy's psychological instability, created a time bomb. The events that followed would gradually reveal the dark corners of this family relationship and lead to a terrible tragedy. June 24th, 2016. What should have been a normal day in the Sheets household in Feud, Texas, turned into an indelible nightmare. It was Jason Sheets' 45th birthday, but the atmosphere in the house was tense and full of pressure. From early morning, Christy Sheets began arguing with every member of the family. The disagreements between Christy and Jason that had lasted for many years reached a boiling point when Jason announced that he wanted a divorce. He told her bluntly, "This will be the last birthday you ruin." That statement was like a heavy blow to Christy's already unstable psychology. As the afternoon progressed, the situation became worse. Christy asked Jason to forbid her eldest daughter, Taylor, from seeing her fiancé, Juan. But Jason firmly refused, emphasizing that Taylor was 22 years old and an adult. This made Christy even angrier. Throughout the day, Madison, the youngest daughter, also sensed the tension in the family. She even shared with a friend that she was feeling anxious and uneasy, but did not go into details. The climax of the drama came around 5 p.m. when Christy decided to call a family meeting. She asked Jason, Taylor, and Madison to sit together in the living room, declaring that they needed to work through their issues. Initially, Jason thought Christy wanted to talk about divorce. However, what happened next was beyond his expectations. While everyone was still confused, Christy suddenly reached under the sofa and pulled out a .38 caliber pistol, a keepsake she had received from her beloved grandfather. The atmosphere in the living room instantly froze. Jason and his two daughters were completely stunned, unable to believe their eyes. Jason immediately stood up, trying to beg Christy to stop. He shouted in desperation, "Don't do this. We are a family. Don't hurt the children." But all his pleas were in vain. Christy, with a cold gaze, replied, "No, this is not about the children. This is to punish me." In a rage, Christy pulled the trigger, aimed straight at Madison, and shot her in the neck. Blood was pouring out. Madison collapsed, but still tried to get up to run outside. Taylor, in an effort to protect her sister, was also shot in the back by Christy. In the chaos, Jason tried to pull his two daughters out of the house. Madison only had time to run a few steps to the street before collapsing from the severity of her injuries. Taylor, despite being seriously injured, still tried to run out of the house, but Christy did not stop. She coldly followed, firing 3 more shots, one of which hit Taylor. While Jason ran to the neighbor's house to ask for help, the neighbor quickly called 911. But before the police arrived, Christy continued to reload. She walked out into the street, where Madison was lying motionless, and Taylor was still trying to get up. Christy fired another fatal shot at Taylor in front of the horrified bystanders. When the police arrived, they were confronted with the scene of Christy still holding the gun, refusing to drop the weapon despite being asked. In a critical situation, an officer shot Christy with a bullet to the chest, ending the nightmare at the scene. Taylor was taken to the hospital by ambulance, but did not survive. Madison died at the scene. Jason, though not physically injured, was traumatized by the tragedy that unfolded before his eyes. The bloodshed and unspeakable pain of that afternoon shook the neighborhood. The Sheets family, once known as a model family, was now devastated by their mother's unthinkable actions. Questions about Christy's motives and what drove her to commit this heinous act began to haunt the public and investigators. On the afternoon of June 24, 2016, the once peaceful Remsen Hollow Lane neighborhood of Fulshear, Texas, was shattered by the deafening sounds of gunfire and screams of terror. Immediately after Christy Sheets opened fire on her two daughters, Madison and Taylor, panicked neighbors quickly called 911 to report the incident. The first call came from a neighbor who saw Madison collapsed in the middle of the street. During the call, the person repeatedly shouted to the operator that a woman with a gun was shooting at her daughter. Screams and the sound of gunfire were heard during the call, making the operator realize the seriousness of the situation. When they arrived, the police found Madison lying motionless on the road, blood all around her. Not far away, Taylor, despite being seriously injured, was still trying to crawl to find a way to escape. Jason, the husband, was standing at the neighbor's house, completely desperate to see the whole thing, but could do nothing to stop it. The officers immediately asked Christy to drop the gun, but she ignored them and continued to move towards Taylor. Christy even seemed to be preparing to fire another shot at Madison, even though she was no longer responding. Realizing the dire situation and unable to convince Christy to drop her weapon, an officer was forced to shoot her to prevent further casualties. A bullet was fired into Christy's chest, causing her to collapse on the spot and die shortly after. Immediately after the situation was under control, the officers focused on saving Taylor's life. An ambulance helicopter was called to take her to the hospital, but her injuries were too severe, and she died shortly afterwards. Jason, the only person in the family who was not physically injured, was taken to the hospital by police for a medical checkup and psychological support. He was completely devastated, unable to speak other than repeating in shock, "I can't believe this happened." At the scene, police recovered the .38 caliber pistol that Christy had used, along with several shell casings scattered around the house and on the street. They also collected emergency calls from family and neighbors, which recorded gunshots and desperate screams from the victims. Police then sealed off the entire area for a detailed investigation. What they discovered in interviews and family records revealed long-standing rifts in the Sheets family's relationship and shed some light on the motives behind Christy's actions. The case quickly became a major media topic, not only because of its severity, but also because of the rarity of a mother killing her own child. But for police and the community, the biggest question remains: what really pushed Christy to such a breaking point? Following the horrific murders at the Sheets home, Fort Bend County Police immediately launched a full investigation to clarify what happened and to find out the motive behind Christy Sheets' actions. During the investigation, police discovered that the Sheets family had been experiencing years of conflict and tension. Records show that police had been called to their home at least 14 times since 2012, most of them for domestic disputes or problems involving Christy. 3 of those times, Christy was taken to medical facilities for signs of self-harm. However, after each treatment, she declared herself fine and was released home. Medical records also show that Christy had been diagnosed with mental health issues, including severe depression, anxiety, and alcoholism. Christy's husband, Jason, testified that their relationship had become irreparable after years of grief and emotional instability, especially after the death of her grandfather in 2012. Jason revealed that Christy had repeatedly threatened suicide and had exhibited uncontrollable behavior, forcing him to consider divorce to protect himself and the children. Investigators realized that the murder was not a spontaneous act. Christy's use of a .38 caliber gun, hidden under the sofa, indicated that she had been prepared. Christy's journals and social media posts also revealed her unstable mood, obsession with guns, and growing resentment toward her husband and eldest daughter. Investigators suspect that the murders of Taylor and Madison were Christy's way of getting revenge on Jason in order to make him suffer the pain of loss that would never be overcome. Investigators focused on analyzing Christy's motives to understand the reason behind this brutal act. Through the testimony of Jason and those close to her, the full picture gradually emerged. Jason announced his intention to divorce on the day of the murder, which was considered the last straw for Christy. Investigators believed that she felt betrayed, abandoned, and wanted to cause Jason as much pain as possible. By killing her 2 daughters, Christy may have intentionally left Jason with an inconsolable pain. Christy and Taylor had had a number of conflicts in the weeks leading up to the murder, particularly over Taylor's upcoming wedding to her fiancé, Juan. Taylor's growing up and moving away from her family may have heightened Christy's feelings of loss of control and powerlessness, leading her to take out her anger on her eldest daughter. Christy had long struggled with depression and alcoholism, both of which contributed to her diminished ability to control her emotions and behavior. The murder of her daughter appeared to be more than just a fit of rage, but rather the manifestation of a disturbed and unstable mind. Psychologists were called in to analyze Christy's profile. They determined that Christy may have been affected by a personality disorder or deep-seated feelings of low self-esteem. Her social media posts, especially her glorification of guns and control, suggested a preoccupation with asserting power and seeking attention. A big question that both investigators and the public are asking is why Christie did not target Jason, the person she was said to want revenge on, but chose to kill her two daughters. According to experts, Christie may have considered Jason as a witness to the terrible pain she caused. Instead of harming Jason directly, she chose to attack the people Jason loved the most, forcing him to live with the torment for the rest of his life. Psychological factors, family conflicts, and prolonged instability are the key causes leading to the case. Christie Sheets, in a state of loss of control, chose the most painful revenge possible, leaving behind an irreparable tragedy for her family and the community. The horrific crime ended with Christie Sheets dead at the scene after she refused to comply with police orders and continued to threaten them with a gun. Although there was no formal trial to prosecute Christie, her actions left a trail of questions and serious consequences for her family and community. Jason Sheets, the girl's husband and father, was not physically injured, but the psychological trauma he endured was immeasurable. He witnessed the entire incident, from the moment Christie pulled out the gun until the two girls were killed. Police took Jason to the station for psychological support and to collect his testimony. His testimony became an important part of the reconstruction of the entire incident. Neighbors in the area expressed their horror and deep sympathy for Jason. The community held many vigils and memorials for Taylor and Madison, two promising young women whose lives were taken so cruelly. The case also raises questions about mental health support within the family. Although Christie had been treated for mental illness and hospitalized for suicide, her support system did not appear to be strong enough to prevent this tragedy. This highlights the importance of recognizing and intervening promptly when an individual shows signs of serious instability. While the case has left a deep wound in the hearts of the family and the community, it is also an opportunity for society to recognize the importance of supporting people with mental health problems. By listening, understanding, and intervening early, we can prevent similar tragedies, bringing hope to those facing difficulties in life. Jason Sheets, despite his great loss, found a way to move on. He moved to Decatur, Alabama, and rebuilt his life from scratch, using the memories of Taylor and Madison as motivation to continue. His story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of the most terrible pain. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your support means the world to us.